Is that 100% cashmere?
Well, you don't believe me?
Would you mind if I check the label? I just want to...
My word's not good enough for you?
Just let me take a look. Come on, let me just take a look.
I don't like people touching me.
I won't touch you. I'll just take a...
I want you to call...
I'll take a quick look.
Stop it. I want you to call Jeff.
Bro, look at the table.
You call Jeff and tell him I'm not hiding
What the hell is going on here? That's it, Larry. You're fired.
Happy?
Here we are. I'm Susie Essman, and you are...
I'm Jeff Garlin.
And this is the history of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and we are beginning Season 2. 2001, we started shooting this. That's a long time ago, baby.
Yeah.
And Episode 1 is,
By the way,
it
seems like yesterday, to be honest.
Really?
But by the way, a lot of what I'm seeing in the episode there are moments I remember and moments where I totally disassociate. I'm like, where was this? What was this? Because I'm really good at remembering.
Well, it was 22 years ago. And it was also, there's a lot of things that date stuff. It's mostly technology.
And
things.
by the way, I've got one of those. Like every episode, something kills me.
Technology. We're very tired today because we had a very long day of shooting yesterday.
Delightful day.
Delightful day, but a long day of shooting. All week we've been having long days. Shooting Season 12, and we're on Season 2 now, The Car Salesman.
Yes.
Episode 1, The Car Salesman.
The premise alone is so fucking delightful. And
absolutely.
I believe, if I remember asking him, this was actually a fantasy in his mind.
To be a car salesman.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yesterday I did one of my things that you never play, which is how much for you two. And it was, I'm not going to say what and then I asked him, and he...
Wait, explain what that is.
No,
Jeff will come up to me, Cheryl, Larry, and he'll say, how much money would it take for you to do X, Y, Z? And it's always some bizarre, ridiculous thing.
Well, I had my most bizarre yesterday.
And what was that?
How much would it take for you to drive a Chrysler Cordoba, with Corinthian leather?
Yes, Corinthian leather.
Yeah. And every time you got out of the car, you curtsied. To no one in particular. You just did a curtsy, and you're on your way.
And I think we had been talking about the royal family. That's where it came
from. The curtsying. And so first off, I laughed at it, which normally I don't do. I just ask it. And the fact that he sat there and thought about
Larry,
it.
you're talking
and
about.
gave me an amount. His first question, though, to clarify is, nobody's filming me, right? Nope, nobody's filming. I'm sure as it goes on, people will take a picture of you and you'll create a buzz at Larry David driving this old piece of crap car, and you're curtsying when you get out. And he did a curtsy for me. He showed me what he looked like curtsying. And Larry David, I bet you he's never
curtsied
until that moment.
I would bet that too.
Yeah. All right.
And how much would it take him to curtsy?
He doesn't like when I say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know how much.
And by the way, one time I told somebody in front of him, he was not happy.
Okay.
Don't get into the money. He's very sensitive about money.
Listeners, you will never know how much it would take Larry David to curtsy out of a Chrysler Cordoba.
By the way, I will say this, though. His prices are...
surprising.
They're low.
Low, that's what I'm saying.
They're so low.
So low.
Compared to me. Like for me to do that, drive that car for a month, $1 million.
All right, so we start out the car salesman. Larry is lying in bed, clearly just languishing, eating chips, watching Maury Povich in a hotel room.
Now, again, I wonder, has he ever done that? Because I didn't ask him then. It just was very funny.
Well, he's a very big television watcher.
Oh, most certainly.
So I would guess that he has.
New York Rangers. But by the way, here's my technical complaint right off the start. Green screen is not there yet. It's not.
It's not invented yet? It's not used?
It's invented, but when Cheryl stands in front of the TV, she looks like she's in 3D based on the green screen behind her. And back then,
now,
you didn't know.
do me a favor.
Yeah.
For our listeners, explain to them what green screen is.
It's a screen that's green. There you go from the beginning. But you can put any image. You can superimpose any image, any film, anything on the green screen. And now it's almost, even driving scenes now look so real that you think the people are driving.
So when you see a film or a TV show and they're doing lots of different things, a lot of times they're not actually doing that. It's on the green screen.
It's on the green screen. And now it's excellent with all the digital stuff. Back then, it really wasn't there yet. So, and I remember watching, just last night I watched it. I thought, why did they just move Cheryl over? Which we would have done today if we knew how crappy the green screen was. Right. But nobody knew.
So
I didn't even know.
So Maury Povich was green screened in.
Green screened in, right. And it looked great. Could have looked better, but it looked great. And Cheryl out of the way would have been delightful. For those of you at home who are into computers, are into any sort of digital filmmaking, which is pretty much all of it, I was just very entertaining to you. And I imagine a lot of you at home are saying to yourselves, move on.
Okay, and here we go.
Okay.
And so Larry is watching Maury Povich on the green screen and eating chips and clearly enjoying himself.
Right.
Just lying in bed. And Cheryl kind of is being demanding. There's a house she wants to go look at. So we've established that they have moved out of their house and they're living in a hotel. And Anna asked why they moved out of their house because Cheryl couldn't take the wire anymore.
Right.
From the episode earlier in season 1.
And by the way, he always wants to be of service to his wife.
Yes.
I'm scared not to, my character's scared not to be of service to you.
You better be.
No, you know what I mean? It's like there's a fear aspect. Larry's isn't a fear aspect,
A little bit of fear, I think.
Well, all men have a little bit of fear. And you don't often hear about the man who has a lot of needs. It's usually the wife who says, get me this, do that. And if you're a good husband, you just do it.
My husband is here. Do I have a lot of needs?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
By
there
the
he
way,
goes. He's a smart man.
Jimmy
He's
is
a smart
genius,
man.
A genius. And by the way, I love the way you hesitated, thought about it. No, I'm not going to answer.
All right. So Cheryl wants him to get ready. She wants to go look at the house. And Larry's just happily watching Maury. He wants to know about, who's going to end up going to the boot camp, who's going to get better. And she brings up, that he's retired. Is he ever going to work again? So we've established that
and by the way, when he walks out, he does a great, horrible person.
You don't
Maury.
know me.
All right, here's Brittany. Brittany, come on out.
Look at that girl come out. Look.
You don't know me. You don't know me. Yeah, you all go fuck yourself. That's right. Yeah, come on. That's right. Oh, yeah. Come on. Yo, fuck you. Fuck you. Yo, fuck you.
I love when he does physical stuff like that.
Me too.
Yeah.
So we've established now that he's retired. He's not working. He's languishing. He's watching daytime television.
Right.
And Cheryl wants to go look at a new house. And they go to the house, and it's a big house. That was the Malibu house, if I recall.
Yeah, we had 2 Malibu houses.
Yes. And it's a big house in Malibu.
Yeah.
And Larry likes living in the hotel.
Yeah.
He enjoys hotel living.
But he's reluctantly being of service to his wife.
Yeah. It's too big. They sold the old house because of the wire. That's where we established that. And the real estate agent, it's a highly motivated seller, open to a cash offer. Ocean views. Now, this is when Larry says, you walk in, this is such a Larry thing, sees the ocean view. You get used to that in 2 days.
By the way, that was my next note. I could get used to this in 2 days.
He's known for saying
perfection.
And see, of course, he has said things like, you've seen one sunset, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
He's not a visual guy in that way.
No, by the way, I cannot imagining him standing anywhere he lives, anywhere he's visiting, looking at the sunset and going, how about that? Like, you know what I mean? He just, I don't think he could do that.
But he does fake it when he says, I love the sea.
His grandfather
was an Italian. My grandfather was an Italian fisherman.
Yeah.
Came from the old. I saw a whale breach. Oh, that was not him. That was. Sometimes I write these notes. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
He said that with the owners.
With the owners, yes.
Yeah, he loves blubber in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah. But we'll
Can
get
you
there.
shoot the whale from the terrace?
Yeah. And the wife didn't know whether or not to believe him, which I got to say, I don't know about him. That happens all the time to me.
What?
I'll say something ridiculous, I once, someone has said, I went out for dinner last night, and they say, where'd you go? And I said, I went to the harpoonery. Everything is caught by harpoon. They even make the baked goods. They stir the batter with the harpoon. And they believe me. They were like, wow, what is that?
I know where that came from because we were talking about that place with the venison.
Oh, yeah, that was, yes. Oh, dear God.
Okay, so they see the house, and then they meet the husband, Jay Schneider, who is an agent who just signed Jason Alexander.
Right.
Are these the new suckers? Larry David. Jay Schneider. I would call you when you were at Seinfeld. I was working at the William Morris Agency. I would call him up and pitch my clients.
Okay.
How you doing? Jay Schneider.
And by the way, that was a great acting job on that guy. He was like every
agent.
Every sucky agent I ever met. I love my agent, and it's taken a long time to get there, but a lot of these agents in town, and I don't care if you're an agent and listening, you know who you are, and you know whether you're bullshitting your clients or whether you're a great agent who's supporting your clients. Anyhow, he seemed like every bullshit artist.
Every bullshit, sleazy, leechy.
Right.
He just signed Jason Alexander, and he's saying that Jason has a hard time getting work because he's known as George, and George is an idiot. He's an imbecile. He's playing the imbecile. And you see Larry taking offense to that. And Larry's taking offense to that because George's character is based on Larry.
It's based on Larry. Yeah, and by the way, I noticed this. A theme that runs through our show is Larry knows somebody and he's going to get in trouble. Something's going to happen with that person he knows. It's going to create a hole that has to dig out of.
Correct.
You know? Okay.
So then the Jay Schneider, the agent, says, Larry, what are you up to? Nothing. Nothing. Again, he's retired. And he says to Jay, nice sweater. And Jay says, thank you, it's cashmere.
And Larry really doubts that it's cashmere. He's looking at it.
He thinks it's a blend.
Yeah, but by the way, he doesn't say that. But he's looking at it, and you know what he's thinking. That's not fully cashmere at all.
And Jay suggests, or was
by
it
the
Cheryl?
way, he said later when they talked about it.
Did you notice that when I asked him about the sweater, he said it was 100% cashmere? There's no way that sweater's 100% cashmere. It's like maybe 35, 40, 50 at the most, but 100?
Okay, you know what?
That can't be.
Sooner the better. I'm ready to.
Away. But wait a second. I mean, you trust this guy's lying? Because the guy's lying about a cashmere sweater. You feel comfortable with that?
We're not buying a sweater, we're buying a house.
Because anybody who lies about the fibers in his sweater has to be not trustworthy. But was it, I forgot who, somebody brings up that maybe he should team up with Jason again.
The agent.
Was it the agent? Yeah, the agent. Cheryl loves the house. And when they leave the house, I have a quote here. No way that's 100% cashmere, Larry says to Cheryl.
Right.
No way. So already he's suspicious of the guy.
Can't trust him.
Can't trust him. If he lies about the sweater, you can't trust him.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Who knows what else he's lying about?
So Larry goes on and on about the cashmere to you.
Yes.
And you say you think it's a good idea to meet with Jason.
Yeah.
You tell him because you need to work.
Yeah.
And then you ask him you tell him that Richard Lewis wants you to manage him.
Right.
And what does Larry think about that? And Larry tells you that Richard Lewis is high maintenance.
Well, no. I ask him, the same different way, same thing. But I ask him, is he as mashug, which means crazy, as he is
in real
on
life.
The show, in real life? And Larry's response is, are you kidding me? Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, completely true.
It's completely true. He's high maintenance. And then while you're sitting there in the lunch, you run into Tom, the car salesman.
Yeah. By the way, played by Rick Hall, a former compadre of mine from Second City in Chicago. I always loved Rick Hall. And the first season and second season, maybe into the third season, I was all about getting my great improviser friends in, you know.
Right.
And Rick's great. And he played that part great. You believed everything he said.
And you see that Larry is very intrigued by him. He's how does somebody become a car salesman?
Yeah.
And he says he always wanted to be a car salesman. Now, Anna has asked, did he really want to be a car salesman in real life? I don't know.
By the way, I vaguely remember asking him if he wanted to do that, and he said yes.
Yes. Well, Larry was once a limo driver. When he first got out of college, he was a limo driver.
To an old blind woman.
To a blind woman, and he used to lie about wearing the uniform.
He never wore the cap, never wore the uniform.
But would tell her that he was because she was blind.
Right. Well, you know.
Another question that Anna asked is, was Jason really struggling after Seinfeld? I think that it was a problem for him being typecast as George.
I would guess that it was.
Because he was such an iconic character.
But clearly based on how much he's worked since then, it was a false thought, and it worked this way.
Right. But I've had that problem where people just want to cast me as a screaming, yelling, crazy woman.
By the way, how could you not have that problem?
When you're paying, George was, for God, he was such an iconic character.
Right. Well, by the way, sister, you are too.
Well, thank you, darling.
We're on satellite and cable and streaming, and we're not.
It's a different time.
It's a different time. It's not like billions of people watch it over the course of a season. But yeah, I'm sure he had trouble with that.
Yeah. And Larry's very intrigued by it. I love to sell cars. I could talk anyone into anything, and he wants to do it for a day. I guarantee I'll sell more cars than anyone in your showroom. And Tom, the car salesman, tells him to get the brochures and be there on Monday morning.
But you're skipping an important point.
Bring it up.
No, Rick, whatever the character.
Tom is his name.
Tom said no to him.
Right.
And then I explained that Larry's the creator of Seinfeld. The guy completely flipped.
Turns around.
Oh, that'll be great. All right, come on down on Monday. And Larry's thrilled.
Thrilled. Because he's bored. He's doing nothing but watching Maury Povich eating potato chips. And now he could act out his fantasy dream and sell cars.
And he's pumped.
He's pumped. Monday morning, okay, house is sold.
Hold on. Oh, yeah, house is sold.
They buy the house, and they're moving Monday morning.
Yes.
And so Cheryl is not pleased that Larry cannot be there to help with the move because he has to go to work to sell cars.
But also, that's another theme on the show. When he can't do something, he perceives his excuse as a great reason. And usually it's only because he dug a hole for himself. But by the way, in reality, his character, and actually probably in person, he's not plussed that they're moving that soon, and he doesn't want to help move them in.
No. Why would he?
Yeah.
And he's selling cars, and Cheryl thinks he's insane. He's like, I want to get out of my system.
Right.
I'll help when I come home. I'll be a little tired. And then Larry goes to see Jason. They have a meeting. He goes to meet with Jason. And Jason is on the phone, and let me see what else. They start talking about Jason being the typecast, and Larry's, you're not even close to George, and they see, then Jason starts, they see me as the idiot. They see me as the schmuck.
Hold on. Sometimes I'm listening to you, and I'm like going, oh, okay. But we skip one thing. A sentence that Larry said that killed me when we filmed it, and it kills me now.
Why is it stupid?
It's insane.
Hey, some people, they run in marathons. They want to see if they can do that. Other people, they swim the English Channel. All I want to do is work in a showroom for a little while. So what's the big deal?
To work in a showroom. Even that phrase.
Yeah, his fantasy.
Okay.
So he's... So Jason's going on about what a schmuck George was and what an idiot George was, and again you see Larry's face, and Larry says, "I see him as funny," and Jason, he's the jackass role, and they start to argue about the stupid things that George did, stealing the tape from the answering machine, for example, eating the eclair out of the garbage can, having a masturbation contest, and Larry tells Jason, I did all those things.
Right.
He wasn't the schmuck. He wasn't the idiot. And I'm sorry you hated the character so much.
And by the way, another thing that Larry explains to him, you're not George. You're a great actor. I'm always telling people he's nothing like the character. He's a great actor. Here's what I want to say to you. He may be the most talented actor I've ever worked with.
Jason.
Yeah, when we did the Seinfeld season, and he's teaching Larry how to be George, and it's very, what do they call it, meta? It's very meta. He's teaching Larry how to be George, and then he does Larry, and he does George. Anyhow, everything he does, when I watched him that week, so precise,
Yeah.
so perfect.
Detail.
And I saw him on Broadway, and he was remarkable.
Yeah, I've seen him on Broadway, too.
Yeah, no, Jerome Robbins' Broadway.
That's what I saw him in.
And he won a Tony for that, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
But the point is, great actor.
Yeah.
Really is. And he's really not, he talks like George, obviously, but he's so great. I'd love to see, I mean, he was a mean guy. How about this? In Pretty Woman, he was a total asshole.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see him someday do a role he reminds me of English actors.
You know,
So
do you
precise.
feel as though, I mean, I do, that Jason, post Seinfeld, has not gotten the amazing role that he deserves?
And by the way, the key phrase there is he deserves. He deserves an amazing role. And no, he hasn't. And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Julia did. I mean,
Julia's
did
gone
Veep.
on to huge success. You know, yeah, but yeah, he deserves it for sure.
Well, hopefully that season we'll have him on when we do that Seinfeld season.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. And then Larry comes up with a great idea for the series.
By the way, you think I'm not going to ask Larry to use that idea? You think I'm kidding you, and I'm not. I watched that, and we'll get to what the idea is. But that idea was so perfect, but it's really perfect for me to play.
For me.
Yeah. Well, by the way, yeah. Yeah. But I mean, anyone who's comedic and, at a certain age, beautiful. Beautiful.
And the idea is that Jason plays an actor who is so identified with the character, and he becomes embittered and ends up hating the character.
Right.
And Jason is all for it and says,
"You son of a bitch, you. That's pretty damn good. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on. Let's go. You want to do it?"
I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'm actually working.
You working on another thing, another show?
I'm selling cars. I start on Monday.
we see him, then we cut to, and you see Jason's face, which is so funny. And then we cut to him in the hotel. He's up early. He's eager to go off to work. He's shaving. He's in a suit and tie, and he cannot wait to get to that showroom. He's off to work. And he's like, he's in the showroom, and his first customer comes in, and the customer says his name is Archie, right away wants to develop rapport, and Larry says, my wife's name is Veronica.
Right. And by the way, that actor, comedian from Chicago, Chip Chinnery. That's his really Chip Chinnery. And that sounds like a name I'd make up.
Chip Chinnery.
Yeah. No, it sounds exactly like one of my silly names. And Chip Chinnery, who's wonderful and played that part perfect.
And Chip Chinnery, playing Archie, starts asking questions about what's the engine? Big, Larry says, big. He clearly has no fucking idea what he's talking about. Next customer, Shirley. That's my mother's name. He's trying to build, like he read a brochure about salespeople, how to build rapport, and he's just doing that about the names. Does it have tilt wheel steering? No idea. You don't really need tilt wheel steering.
You don't need a tilt, and he explains that.
You don't have to tilt with this car. My wife calls it peppy. We have this car. Gas mileage depends on the city. What's the wheelbase? And this is like a whole montage of showing you that he has no idea what he's doing.
And by the way, the next person was an old man. His name's Harper Roisman. One of my joys about doing the show is when older character actors from older Hollywood are on the show. And then...
but before we get to that, one of them asked about the wheelbase. They're concerned about the rollover. So Larry starts pushing the car.
Yeah, it's not going to roll.
No, and the alarm goes off. It's
and
like he can't do anything.
Did you notice who the most interesting person to come into the showroom was? Dana Lee, Mr. Takahashi.
Oh, Mr. Takahashi.
He was in that episode.
Yes.
He was one of the people buying a car.
And we love Mr. Takahashi.
By the way, Dana Lee, who plays the character, what a delightful man.
And Larry says,
Dana.
Dana. That's my middle name. Larry Dana David.
I noticed this is a GT. And the brochure says there's a model called the GTS.
Yes.
Now, what is the difference between the GT and the GTS?
Okay, the GTS is guaranteed tremendous safety.
So without the S, it's just guaranteed tremendous.
He has no idea what he's doing.
Dana says back, Dana Lee, in his character, he goes, so is the other guaranteed tremendous?
He
which
has
is
no
hilarious.
idea. Then a guy comes in, Affion. Oh, that's my stepbrother's name.
Yeah, I know.
He's just on and on and on. And then he goes into, he realizes he's doing really poorly, and he says, "Ever seen the Seinfeld show?" to them, because he's going to reveal who he really is, but then it doesn't come to that. And then the old man comes in.
Right.
And tell me his name again.
Harper Roisman.
Harper Roisman. And that's not working out
By the
either.
way, you just mentioned the Richard Lewis entrance, right?
That's later.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's the second day.
Okay.
And then the first day is a bust, and he goes home to the new house, and Cheryl says, "How did it go? Sell a lot of cars?" And Larry's like, "That's not how it works."
Yeah, I know.
And then she says to him, "Are you over it now?" "No." So they're in the house. The house seems different because their furniture's there, and it's, and they're in bed reading, and they hear a noise.
Right.
A little click, click, click,
Right.
click, 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 which is, as you know, when you own a house, there's house sounds.
Right.
There's always a house sound.
Yeah, I know.
But Larry says, "What's a house sound?" And Cheryl says, it's the house settling, which is like...
By the way, you hear that excuse all the time. Do you know I was in a house, my house, when I lived in Sherman Oaks? I was in a house, and we first moved in, I was overwhelmed, and I had a lot of anxiety. I was filming...
Being a homeowner, you mean?
I was filming a movie where I'm the father, with Jane Lynch. What the hell was it called? Not young anymore, but girls and young women in their 30s have seen this movie. I cannot remember the name of it. Sleepover. So I was doing that movie at the time. I was very stressed out. The floors have been painted, and toxic chemicals, they've been done.
Varnished.
Really hurt me. And there was a sound, and I was convinced the house was haunted. And at that time, we cleared out some of the furniture that was left, and one was a bed frame that looked like it was a little girl's from the 1800s, okay?
Yeah.
And I would see it outside of her house from the window, and I would think that there was a ghost. Sometimes you lose your mind.
Yeah.
I was so stressed and so overwhelmed that I thought my house was haunted. So
It's like, did you picture the little girl? "It's me, a little girl from the Victorian era." Is that what you were thinking?
By the way, if I may, can I say what I thought she was saying to me?
What?
"Hello." That's more of a ghost sound.
Okay.
She wouldn't list where she's from, the Victorian era.
Okay, so she wasn't Casper.
No, it was more like, "Boo, get out, everything is wrong with you. You should have shame."
So it was Jacob Marley.
Yeah, Jacob Marley.
Okay, so what's the house sound, etc. Cheryl tells, Cheryl's always the pragmatist.
Right.
Ignore it.
Yeah.
"I'll be up all night." And he goes to explore where it's coming from, finds nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Next day, he's at work again,
doing the
all
same shit.
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. The guy wants wood grain. He says, "I'll give you wood grain."
By the way, the guy was about to buy the car because the wood grain was the only thing the guy was curious about, and Larry has sold the car.
Finally.
And who walks in?
Richard Lewis.
Yes.
Looking fantastic, by the way. Handsome. He was a handsome heartthrob in his day.
I'm sure he took advantage of that. I know he did.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah.
Now he has an amazing wife. I don't know if they were. Oh, they might have been together at that time.
No,
Joyce.
no.
It was later?
Not when he was doing Carnegie Hall and all that shit.
No, but when we were shooting this show.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah, he was with Joyce then.
And by the way, she's a remarkable woman.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
She's terrific. And she puts up with him. By
the way, I've always felt bad. I went up to her one time. I said, "I don't know how you do it, blah, blah, blah." And she looked like I just spoke Japanese to her. She had no idea. She didn't understand why Richard would be
high maintenance.
Difficult. Yeah. So that obviously she's the perfect woman for him.
She is, just like Jimmy. You don't think I'm high maintenance, do you, honey?
No, honey.
No. See, he knows exactly what to say.
In all sincerity, you are not high
I'm not high maintenance.
Yeah, you are not. Although
Susie
people
Green.
at home, Susie Green, very high maintenance.
Susie
you are
Essman,
not
no.
high maintenance.
I'm not.
Jimmy, you're lucky.
He's not high maintenance either. Okay, so Richard Lewis shows up. This is a joke, right? And he scares the customer away.
Forget him.
You just cost me a customer. What did you just cost me a customer.
I cost
you cost me a customer. I had him
How can
dangling.
you have a customer?
I had him there. I was about to take him into the manager's office. What are you doing?
What are you, fucking
What are you
Willie
doing
Loman?
here? You're coming in
What are
here?
you doing
I'm
here?
doing business in here.
What are you, Willie Loman?
Yeah, the one
It's a
you Willie
typical
Loman.
Lewis
I wrote
line.
that down too. By the way, a little fun fact, as we've said on the show before, fun fact. In that Toyota of Hollywood, upstairs they had an office, and we were looking for actresses to play the role of Cheryl's great friend, because the woman who was scheduled to play that did not like the idea of Larry saying, "I know that ass anywhere, fat ass."
Oh, okay.
Did not
Next
like
episode.
it. What's that?
That's the next episode.
No, here's my trivia. Will you listen to the trivia? Fun fact. We auditioned based on Marla, my ex's suggestion. She's a casting director. We auditioned up there, Wanda Sykes, upstairs.
Oh, is that where you auditioned?
I reminded Larry of that yesterday. That's where we auditioned Wanda. And we
For the
watched,
next episode.
Right. I knew she'd be great because I know her.
Well, because we knew her from stand-up.
Yeah, but Larry had never seen her before. And when she was done, he said, absolutely, let's do it. Because she was great.
Yeah.
And she, by the way, that character's a lot of her, the way she plays it, but she was fully developed into that role. She knew she was going to give him shit. She just knew it. She gave him shit in the audition.
Right.
Now we can go to the next episode when we
And
go.
we'll talk more about Wanda. Okay, so Richard Lewis shows up. He's pissed off at Larry because he just came from Jeff's office, and Jeff told him that Larry said that Richard Lewis was high maintenance. And
of course, by the way, my character is the opposite of Hugh. I am a great listener and I have a small mouth when it comes to you can trust me. However, Jeff Green
has a big mouth.
If he hears big ears, big mouth. Yeah.
And so he's pissed off at him. What is his dark secrets? What do I have a note? Because Lewis says to Larry, what dark secrets do you have that you want to be a car salesman?
Yeah.
And then he notices that Lewis is wearing the same supposedly cashmere sweater that the agent was wearing who sold him the house. And he asked Lewis if the sweater is 100% cashmere. And Lewis says, oh, of course it is. And Larry goes to check the label and a physical fight ensues.
Because I went to see the tag and Richards, don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
And the great line that Larry says, all right, I won't use my hands. Which, how was he look at the label?
Without his hands.
But it turns into a fight. And
a physical fight.
A physical fight.
And then Tom...
By the way, I think that was the last physical fight they ever had. Because they had one first
in the
jewelry
bracelet,
store.
yeah.
And then this one here. I don't know if they ever got physical again.
I think they did, but we'll see.
We'll find out, yeah.
And then Tom, the head of the showroom, the Toyota salesman, fires Larry.
And Larry tries, I almost sold the car, and
But the reality is, he wouldn't have sold the car because he doesn't know if he could get the wood grain thrown in.
Right, that would have been dropped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if it even comes with wood grain. Yeah. He had no idea. He was completely incompetent as a car salesman.
Yes.
So then Larry, kind of sulks home, slinks. What's that expression? He goes home, and there's a big guy.
Played by Jim Zulovic, a friend of mine from Second City, great improviser. See, early on in the show, maybe the first half dozen years, I just popped in every great improviser I knew from Second City.
And very important because not everybody can do it.
No. God,
a lot of great actors, we've said this before, a lot of great actors can't improvise.
No, cannot
So
to save their
it's
lives.
important, especially for these little parts.
Right.
Little parts, you want to find these great improvisers because they're important.
Well, by the way, all these guys fit into that.
Right.
And Zulovic was a sweet,
casting
sweet man.
On this show.
I'm always saying that about these people. He's so delightful. He's such a sweet, sweet man. By the way, if somebody was an asshole, they ain't coming on the show.
Well, why would they?
Well, there's great improvisers that are assholes. Just like there's great comedians.
So here is Jim Zulovic, checking the house sound. He's a house sound checker.
Right.
And can't find it. Can't find anything wrong. And Larry tells him, well, you can't hear it until after 10 p.m. tonight. And will you come after 10 p.m. tonight? And he's, well, I have to call a sitter, but... There they are.
Do it, yeah.
And they're in bed, and he hears the sound, and he's going to call Jason tomorrow, pitch the show.
You can't call him now. It's 10:45. It's 45 minutes past the cutoff.
So what? You get like an hour dispensation for good news.
Who told you that?
Who told me that? It's common knowledge. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
what? That's common knowledge. I've
Complete
never heard
common.
of that.
Everybody knows that. Well, look what happens with deaths and babies. You go all night.
Well, this isn't a baby.
Well, it's still good news.
Quiet.
Sorry.
Be quiet, because he has to hear the house sound. And that's the episode.
But by the way, what took me aback, and maybe because I really enjoyed the episode, what really, I found it to be short. I could have sworn it was 20 minutes, that episode.
Why do you
think that is? By the way, the next episode, too. I don't know. They just felt incredible. They weren't, and maybe it's a compliment to the show that they fly by.
You know, I'll tell you, here's why it might be. I don't know. These shows are much simpler than our shows have become. Our shows have become many more storylines interwoven throughout.
They're very dense.
Much denser.
Which, by the way, is the opposite of what I dig. Like, by the way, I love the show more than ever doing it, but I love the early days of the show because
it was simpler.
It was simpler. And first off, at this point, we didn't have a storyline for the season.
An arc,
which I think the first one was the restaurant, maybe?
Yes, which will be next season.
Yeah. They were so simple and they were self-contained, even though we brought over maybe one thing from the last episode.
Right.
Which, by the way, now, unless it's on story, things don't get mentioned.
Things are brought over because the next episode, Jason is in again.
Yes.
And the whole idea.
Yeah.
So that it's a mini arc. It's a mini arc.
A great story about the Jason Larry scene next episode.
Which we will see you next time.
Yeah, and there'll be a great story. And by the way,
Can't wait.
I guarantee it. How's that?
There you go.
Yeah. And if not, you can return all our podcasts. There's a money-back guarantee.
Don't even say that, Jeff.
Well, what are you talking about?
Because there might be some legal issue.
But we're not charging money. We have sponsors.
Okay. Say it all you want.
So, by the way, if we were doing this subscription-wise, I wouldn't want to do it. Too much pressure. And you know, if these corporations or
do we get to vet our sponsors?
Well, they vet them. What are you talking about? We're not going to have Nazi menswear. They will totally vet them. So which is nice.
Okay.
All right. So we're in a good situation.
We'll see you next time then.
That's a money back guarantee.
Goodbye.
Bye.